Hello and welcome to Doubles and Trebles, the home of Guineas Ante Post content. And we're just 5 weeks away from the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket for the fillies over a straight mile, and it's on the Sunday. The 2,000 guineas is on the Saturday, and the 1,000 that we're talking about here is on the Sunday. And there simply has to be an Ante Post bet in this race. There's got to be. Tahira is the current 3-1 market leader, and she's unlikely to run, in my opinion. She was the best juvenile filly that we saw in 2022. That is for sure. I was there at Leopardstown in September when she won. There, but I wouldn't be in a rush to back her at 3-1 to turn up at Newmarket in 5 weeks' time. Never mind win the race itself. Dermot Weld does not have runners in UK Classics very often, particularly the Guineas. He often might have a runner in the Derby or possibly the Oaks, but that's later in the season. He hardly has any runners ever in the UK Guineas races. This time last year, Dermot Weld had Homeless Songs right up there in the 1,000 guineas market, only to point her in a different direction on the week of the race. She went to and won the Irish 1,000 guineas and won that well. Tahira may well do the same. Weld has been out this week saying it'll either be the English, Irish or French 1,000 guineas for Tahira, so that is about as clear as mud. I personally do not think she will go to Newmarket. If she was a confirmed runner or if it was a confirmed target, she would be 6-4, not 3-1. But at the moment, as it's an anti-post market, that unlikeliness of her running at Newmarket is built into the price. That's why she's 3-1 there on screen. So that's the anti-post favourite ruled out for the purposes of this video, in my opinion. So we're on to Meditate, the next in the market. She's also best price 3-1. They're pretty much joint favourites. She's the best of the Aidan O'Brien filly that we saw last year. She was smashed by Tahira when they met in September, to be fair. But after that, Meditate did go on to be second and first in two Group 1s thereafter, one of which was an easy and very impressive win at the Breeders' Cup. That was over a turning mile. Like Little Big Beer for the O'Brien team in the 2,000 guineas, Meditate is by No Nay Never and out of a mare that should have stayed further on breeding, but in reality on the track absolutely did not. Meditate's Dam's only career win came over 6.5 furlongs, so there is question marks about Meditate staying the straight mile at Newmarket, and she was a busy lady as a juvenile. I mean, O'Brien has won the 1,000 guineas before with busy juvenile fillies, that is for sure. Mother Earth being one of them last year or the year before, was it? Surely there's something out there that can improve past Meditate, in my opinion. I'm opposing Meditate at this stage. Plus, I have got a bad feeling about Meditate's physical or mental makeup. There's not something quite right about her, in my opinion. There's a couple of comments from connections over the last few months about Meditate that have thrown up red flags for me. In September last year, ahead of Irish Champions Weekend in September, Ryan Moore said the following. He was having a look at a few things there at the start and lost me, i.e. chucked him off on the way to the start. She didn't like the travelling home on the way back either. Then, just last week, Aidan O'Brien, the trainer, said she was at Tipperary a month ago and was a little bit ouchy afterwards, so we had to be gentle with her. So, now, Meditate, this horse did go all the way to America and win a Grade 1, so it can't all be that bad, but there is something going on with her, in my opinion. She doesn't appear to like travelling. She can misbehave at the start a little bit. Maybe she will grow out of that mischievous mindset with age. But yeah, I'm just really not sure about her. Like I say, she's been busy. She might misbehave. She did go to Keeneland and win that a Breeders' Cup. Not a brilliant renewal there. And she has been absolutely blasted by Tahira when they met. And let's remember, Tahira has only actually had 2 runs, as you can see on screen there. She won a maiden nice and easily, and then she was chucked in at Group 1 on a very next start and won that nice and easily as well. But top 2 market leaders, I'm taking them on. Plus, the leading English contender over the winter was commissioning, and as already reported on this channel, she has been retired through injury. So it does leave it wide open. You know, if you go along the lines of the headlines that the current fav won't run, the second fav can't be relied on. It's just a case of finding a real contender at the bigger prices. That is easier said than done. Let's be honest about it. The market move in the last week or so, and up to and including today, as you can see from the earlier screenshot, there's only one horse with blue there, and that is Dream of Love for Godolphin. She's now as short as 6-1, not because she was a standout 2-year-old by any means, but because Dream of Love, because of the reasons given above, about those that might not run or those that can't be necessarily be relied on. She's basically, this Dream of Love has only won a maiden by a neck on a debut, and now is apparently the leading light from the UK in terms of 1,000 Guineas contenders. I mean, she was chucked in a listed race on her second start last October, and she was only third that day when 5-2 favourite. You'd have been a little bit disappointed with that run, given the price and reputation going into that and the connections. Then she couldn't even win a conditions race when odds on at Meydan in January. Now, you do need to go back and watch that. That's the one on screen there, the 27th of January, a sure head defeat to Morge, another owned by Godolphin, but trained by Saeed bin Saror. Dream of Love, well supported on the day, into odds on, was miles back and doing all of her best work late. William Buick probably held on to her for too long that day. So possibly can't read into that too much. But as I've said before on the channel, I don't really like horses that have had their winter or preparation in Meydan. It kind of doesn't strike me as the traditional way to go about things. Who am I to argue with Charlie Appleby? Dream of Love, yeah, she's been well supported, but it's a curious profile really for a market mover. The vibes appear to be strong. They must be from the Charlie Appleby yard, particularly if the exchange price is anything to go by. And as you can see, she didn't start a career until October, so we haven't really got much of an idea of how good she is. So backing her at 8-1 now seems pretty mad to me. But like I say, if the vibes are there, she's well bred, could well be a contender, and it looks like, as the market suggests, she is an intended runner. Also on screen there is Never Ending Story, and if I knew, or we knew for sure, that she was being aimed at Newmarket, I would be really interested in her. She's currently 14-1. I really like to win in the 1,000 Guineas trial at Leopardstown just last weekend. She was 2-1 favourite that day. As you can see, it was on heavy ground, so there's a bit of an asterisk there. She swooped past the field up the straight, going further and further clear as the race went on. She might not have beaten much at Leopardstown in that Group 3, but I think there's much more to come from her. Aidan O'Brien, again, going back to one of his quotes, he said that she was behind in her coat in comparison to some of her stablemates, and that was before she ran and won at Leopardstown, so it wasn't after timing there. So I expect more improvement to come from her, but Never Ending Story could well not run at Newmarket. She might stay at home for the Irish 1,000, or she could go to France for their Guineas as well. And for what it's worth, I think she'll get further in time and could well be an Oaks contender. That's not a groundbreaking statement, as she's already one of the favourites for the Oaks, but she's bred to get further. She would be a really, really interesting contender if turning up at Newmarket. And if the race was tomorrow, even with Tahira and that, even assuming they turn up and the race at Newmarket was tomorrow, I would be very interested. Never Ending Story at 14-1, but we're going to wait for running plans, particularly with that one, to become clear before backing it. So I said at the start of the video, there has to be value in this market some way. So where is it? I mean, firstly, unlike the 2,000 Guineas, I think this is a race where something from a trial could come out of the pack and be a leading contender for this race come the first Sunday in May. I mean, a horse that has had maybe only 1 or 2 starts last year, but, you know, frankly, at the moment, we don't know who those are going to be. So, you know, those horses that maybe had 1 or 2 starts last year in maidens and novices are going to come out, and they're going to need to prove themselves in some sort of trial at Newmarket or Newbury in the coming weeks. For example, John Gosden has got he's got 8 entries at this stage. John and Thady Gosden have got 8 entries at this stage. 5 of them have only had 1 start to their name, so that just shows that, you know, something could come out of the pack. They might be 50 or 66-1 now at the moment. Win a trial nicely at Newmarket, for example, and next thing you know, the single figures for this. It's just identifying those at the moment. We just don't know. One that we do know quite a little bit about is this Novakai. If you was forcing me to have a bet now, it probably would be Novakai. She looks a nice price at 33-1. She's any price you like on the exchange at the moment. I think 90-ish as we speak. She was second in the Group 1 Fillies Mile when last seen. She was a mile clear of third that day. Did much of the running on out front on her own, as she has tended to do in her 4 starts, Novakai, and was mowed down late on by Commissioning, who was very much a deserved winner. She was odds-on favourite on the day, since been retired. But Novakai ran with a lot of credit there, finding only Commissioning too good. Still looked a little bit green, actually, Novakai, when she hit the front on her own, as she has done in a lot of her races. She has tried to lead and, you know, on one occasion stayed there, and she's been second in progressively better races since, as you can see. A novice winner on the first start, Group 3, Group 2, Group 1, second in the latter 2. The form's there, it's pretty decent, not standout, not a sexy profile. but I do think she's a likely runner. She'll definitely stay. She's already tried over 8 furlongs twice before. And the Fillies Mile is usually the best juvenile fillies race of the year, and horses to place in the race, not only win, but place in the race, recently included last year's winner Cachet, who was third in the Fillies Mile. The same year, Prosperous Voyage was second in the Fillies Mile, went on to win a Group 1 the following year. The 2021 Guineas winner, Mother Earth, was third in the Fillies Mile the year before. 2020 Oaks winner, Love, was also third in the Fillies Mile the year before. And 2019 Guineas winner, Hermosa, was second in the Fillies Mile. So you get the idea. It's usually good form. Novakai was second in the Fillies Mile. The winner's retired. She could well be possibly a leading contender. Colberg usually would send a classic type to a trial, so we might see Novakai at Newbury or Newmarket, and if she was to go and win one of those races, of course, that price of 33 to 1 would come in. There's no word from the Burke team yet whether Novakai is an intended runner at Newmarket, but I don't see no reason why not with the ownership. She's already, she went to the Fillies Mile. That's a in itself as to what they might do with her as a 3-year-old. But she might well stay, and she might be aimed at the Oaks with the stamina in the pedigree. But she's right up there on form figures. As you can see, she's got an RPR there of 121, an official rating of 113. She's not a million miles behind the market leaders, and those market leaders, as I've mentioned repeatedly, might not actually run at Newmarket. So that looks the best bet to me with 5 weeks to go. There's plenty to look forward to with this Ante Post picture for the 1,000 Guineas. It's sure to change in the coming weeks, and yeah, it's going to be a more up and down changing picture, certainly more changing than the 2,000 Guineas in my opinion. So keep it here on Doubles and Trebles. We'll have plenty more Ante Post content to come. We've had Pieman back today for some darts content as well, so make sure you're liking and subscribing, and thanks for watching. We'll speak soon.